Let's have a quick conversation about credit lock versus credit freeze, right? So, which one should you really choose this year? I want to talk to you about the strategy to really think about. First of all, let's talk about the difference between a credit lock and a credit freeze. It's important to really understand that. So, the thing is that a credit freeze, also known as a security freeze, basically, this is a way for you to protect your identity. But so is a credit lock, right? So basically, those two strategies are ways to help prevent criminals from using your stolen information for financial gain. Both credit locks and freezes make it harder for scammers to open new accounts or take out loans in your name. But there are a few key differences that can help you decide which one is right for you, okay? So let me break it down. When we talk about a credit lock, first of all, it's important to understand that a lot of people use the terms credit lock, credit freeze, security freeze, and fraud alert interchangeably, but each one has a few unique differences that will influence whether or not it's the right choice for you in your situation, especially if you have a family. And so both a credit lock and credit freeze effectively hide your credit history from lenders and creditors. If identity thieves, let's say, try to open a new account or take out a loan in your name, a lock or freeze blocks their attempts because the lender won't be able to pull your credit history. And so here are the ways that a credit lock and a credit freeze differ. First of all, the purpose. So a credit lock prevents creditors and lenders from accessing your credit history. A credit freeze actually freezes your credit history so that potential lenders cannot access it. How do you request one? A credit lock, basically, you are able to instantly lock and unlock your credit file using a mobile app or online service. That's very easy, very straightforward. You can actually request a credit freeze. You have to request a credit freeze with each of the three major credit bureaus. So you have to contact Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax separately and actually ask them to freeze your credit. So this is a lengthier process though. And who should really use it? Well, a credit lock, people who suspect or know they have been the victim of identity theft. And that's the same thing for a credit freeze. So people who suspect or know they have been the victim of identity theft. And so a credit lock is really convenient and quick. A credit freeze is cost effective, okay? But a credit lock can be expensive if you pay for a credit lock service from the three credit bureaus. And a credit freeze can take anywhere from a few hours to a few business days to lock or unlock your credit. So this is an important element to think about. So the big question is, should you consider freezing or locking your credit? Okay, when should you really have that kind of thinking process? Well, the bottom line here is that credit locks and freezes are best used if you think or know, as I said a little earlier, that your identity has been stolen. So the whole idea is to protect your identity. The whole idea is to protect your credit. The whole idea is to really prevent scammers from opening credit cards, from opening loans, from opening all kinds of financial products in your name, right? So a few of the main warning signs of identity theft include finding unfamiliar charges on your bank or credit card statements, learning that your potential information was leaked in a data breach. I mean, data breaches happen all the time. A lot of institutions don't want to say it, but if you hear that you actually were part of a data breach, or you were a customer of a company that was part of a data breach, you want to really think automatically about freezing or locking your credit. Seeing unrecognized hard inquiries or accounts in your credit file, that's problematic, right? You really want to ask questions. Getting calls from debt collectors about debts that you don't recognize or being denied for loans. If you see a sudden change in your credit score, a credit monitoring service like Identity Guard or Aura will catch these changes early and alert you to any potential fraud. And if someone stole your tax return or used your identity to get government benefits, maybe a refund or something similar, and you are locked out of online accounts, in other words, your passwords stop working. So if your passwords stop working, you know that there is a problem, right? So you want to automatically think about preserving your FICO score. So it's important to really remember that you are entitled to a free credit reports each year from all three credit bureaus at annualcreditreport.com. So it's always a good idea to scan this for any unrecognized accounts or hard credit inquiries, as well as incorrect information such as your address or phone number. So this is kind of important. I want to talk to you a little more in detail about a credit freeze. In other words, a security freeze. It's also called a security freeze, okay? So a security or a credit freeze is a way to prevent the credit reporting bureaus from sharing your credit report to new lenders without your explicit consent. It's important to new lenders. So when you apply for a loan or a line of credit, the lender typically checks with the credit reporting agencies to see if you qualify, right? So they will check your TransUnion, they'll check your Experian, and they will check your Equifax to see if you qualify for the loan or line of credit or even credit card you are applying for. Now, all of this are unsecured. If you are looking for a collateralized loan or a secure loan, they do not necessarily need to check your credit. But the thing is that when your credit file is frozen, it cannot be accessed by anyone, even you. This means what? It means that scammers will not be able to open new accounts in your name. I mean, this is really great if you think about it, right? But the thing is, with a credit freeze in place, even credit card companies will not be able to issue you a new credit card. A security freeze lasts indefinitely or until you thaw your account. That's how they call it, thaw your account. In other words, you reinstate your account. Now, how do you request a credit freeze? Now, to place a credit freeze, you need to contact, as I said a little earlier, each of the 3 major credit bureaus separately. There's no way to actually do it simultaneously. You have to do it separately. So you have to contact Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And credit locks are free, but can take anywhere from a few hours to several business days to be put in place. You can typically request a credit freeze online, by phone, or by mail. To make your request, you'll need to include personal information, including your name, date of birth, address history, and your social security number. So once your request is processed, the credit bureaus will provide you with a personal identification number, a PIN, that you will need to freeze and unfreeze your credit file. Let's first talk about how to request an Experian credit freeze. So you go online, you can sign up online to freeze and unfreeze your credit by phone. So 1-888-EXPERIEN, so 1-888-397-3742, or by mail. So you can send your request to Experian Security Freeze, P.O. Box 9554, Allen, Texas 75013. We'll put everything on the screen so you can see it. How do you request an Equifax credit freeze? Online, sign up online to freeze and unfreeze your Equifax credit report. By phone, the number is 1-888-298-0045, or you can send your request to P.O. Box 740256, Atlanta, Georgia 30374. How do you request a TransUnion credit freeze? Sign up online to freeze and unfreeze your TransUnion credit report. By phone, 1-888-909-8872, or you can send your request to P.O. Box 2000, Chester, Pennsylvania 19016. We're going to put all those 3 types of information on the screen. I was talking to you earlier about thawing your credit accounts, right? Thawing is really a term that you have to become familiar with if you are going to freeze or unfreeze your account. So to unfreeze your credit, you'll need to contact each credit bureau separately and provide the PIN you were given when you froze your account in the first place, right? Remember, I gave you all the address, so you have to contact them separately. So by federal law, credit bureaus need to lift the freeze within 1 business day if you call or submit your request online. For example, if you are shopping for a new car or know that you need to request a new credit account, you'll have to call each credit bureau and provide your PIN to unfreeze your credit file. So when choosing your PIN, make sure that the PIN is, you can remember the PIN easily, okay? And you can also, if you want to apply for the loan, you can apply for the loan and wait until you are approved. Your credit file is vulnerable as long as this takes, because it's all about them checking you out, making sure that your credit is legit and that your credit is actually, satisfies their requirements. But you have to contact each credit bureau again to refreeze your credit. Okay, so if you are in a situation where you just need to thaw your credit accounts momentarily, you have to do it. But as soon as the credit transaction that you are actually going through is over, then you have to really refreeze your account. Now, this requires a little bit of maintenance, but hey, listen, it is what it is. And if you're comfortable with all that kind of process, this is not a problem at all. Now, one thing I need to say is that when we talk about thawing your credit accounts, this is something that happens individually with all the three credit bureaus. So I want to repeat some of the information I gave you a little earlier. So to thaw your credit accounts, you have to contact Experian. So 1-888 Experian, 1-888-397-3742. To you have to contact Equifax, 1-888-298-0045, and you have to contact TransUnion, 1-888-909-8872. So again, it's one of those things where you have to do it separately. Now the big question is, does a security freeze affect your credit score? No, a security freeze has no impact whatsoever on your credit score. This is an important element to think about. And are there any downsides to a credit freeze, really? Well, for the most part, a credit freeze is a good tool to protect yourself from credit fraud, right? Especially if you are in a sector, or if you are in a geography where credit fraud is really rampant. You do not want to have that, yes. However, there are a few downsides to freezing your credit, such as scammers can still access your current credit accounts. Because see, the thing is, when we talk about freezing your credit, basically you're just preventing a new account to be created under your name, under your credit file. But scammers can still access your current credit accounts, and a credit freeze will not protect you from other forms of identity theft or fraud. So medical and healthcare fraud, account takeovers, criminal identity theft, those are really rampant. And you will need to unfreeze your credit file for any legitimate loan. Let's say a mortgage, an auto loan, credit card, as well as when applying for some jobs, because some jobs want you to really, they will check your credit. They'll check they'll do some background checks to make sure that you are legit before they actually hire you. And unfreezing your credit takes time, meaning it can be annoying if you are regularly applying for new credit. So this is what I was just telling you a little earlier, that it takes preparation, it takes strategy, and it takes discipline to know when and how to apply for credit. And a credit freeze doesn't stop everyone from seeing your credit report. It can still be your credit report can still be released to existing creditors or to debt collectors acting on their behalf. And in some situations, government agencies will also still have access to your report. So you have some limitations there, but at least you are protected against some nefarious scammers to really access your credit and really do some damage. Now let's talk about credit lock. So what is really a credit lock? How is it different from a credit freeze? Now, a credit lock is similar to a credit freeze in that it basically prevents lenders from accessing your credit file, right? But credit locks are not governed by law, so you have more regulatory flexibility there. Instead, there are contracts between you and the credit reporting bureau. So this is an important element. Now, here is how a credit lock is different from a credit freeze. So a credit lock is faster than a credit freeze. So locks happen almost instantaneously using apps or online tools. And a credit lock is a more convenient strategy to enable. You can lock and unlock your credit file yourself without having to contact the credit bureau and wait for a freeze to be put in place. Now, you cannot have both a credit lock and a credit freeze active at the same time. Okay, so it's either or. And so how do you lock your credit? Well, to lock your credit, you'll need to enroll in a special program with each of the credit bureaus. You can also lock your credit using an identity theft protection service like Aura or Identity Guard. And so at the time of this show, each credit bureau offered a different service for locking your credit file. So Experian Credit Lock is a credit monitoring app that includes 3 bureau credit monitoring, monthly credit scores, identity theft insurance, and Experian Credit File Lock and Unlock. And Credit Lock costs $24.99. And then you have Equifax. Equifax Lock and Alert is a free mobile app that allows you to lock and unlock your Equifax credit file. And you also have a TransUnion. So TransUnion has a program called True Identity. So this is basically a free credit monitoring service that allows you to lock and unlock your TransUnion credit file. And TransUnion also offers a more comprehensive protection plan for $29.95 a month that includes TransUnion and Experian credit locks. And so this is kind of cool. So you have all kinds of services that really can work for you. And but if you don't like Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, you can really reach out to a private, like a third party identity theft protection program such as Aura or Identity Guard. I mean, we love those two because they are really flexible. For example, Identity Guard is really an award-winning identity theft protection provider that includes the tool to lock and unlock your Experian credit file with a single click. With Identity Guard, you also get a $1 million in the identity theft insurance to cover eligible losses and the cost associated with identity theft. You have 24/7 US-based fraud resolution specialists who are ready to answer your questions and help you deal with the fallout of fraud by phone or email. And you have award-winning identity theft protection that monitors your personal information online, in public records, and on the dark web. So this is really good. You have 3-bureau credit monitoring with near real-time fraud alerts. You have bank accounts, 401k and investment accounts, and high-risk transaction monitoring to keep your personal finances and assets safe. This is really good. And you also have online and device safety features such as a secure password manager and safe browsing tools. So if you think your identity was stolen, what should you really do next? Well, it really depends. But one thing for sure, speed is the name of the game here. If you think your identity was stolen, you need to act quickly. Along with a credit freeze or credit lock, you should also take the following steps to secure your identity. So you want to file an official identity theft report with the FTC. So Federal Trade Commission, and this is a federal government agency, and the website is identitytheft.gov. And if you have information that could lead to an arrest, or if your identity was used during a crime, you should contact your local police department. So contacting local law enforcement is really important because it really legitimizes the whole conversation. It really makes it very official. You can also request a free credit report at annualcreditreport.com and look for errors or new accounts that you don't recognize at all. And you also want to reach out to the fraud department at your bank, credit card issuer, or any other impacted company. You want to update your passwords with ones that are complex and unique, at least 12 characters long. And you also want to enable two-factor authentication whenever possible. And you want to dispute any fraudulent charges or new accounts to fix your credit after identity theft. And you want to sign up for a credit monitoring service to keep track of your credit and other financial accounts and select a service that will alert you about any signs of fraud. So this is kind of cool. So when we talk about credit lock versus credit freeze, the final decision really depends on you. So whether you choose to lock your credit or freeze it, you'll be helping to protect actually your credit file against the scammers attempting to open new accounts in your name, right? But those tools alone are not enough to keep you safe from the dangers of identity theft. Instead, you want to consider signing up for an identity theft protection service to kind of help you out so that you can protect your finances, your personal information, and devices from scammers and hackers. So this is really good to really think of. And the cool thing is that in addition to everything that I just gave you all the benefits, you also have up to $1 million insurance policy for eligible losses due to identity theft. So that's really cool. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I spoke to you about credit lock versus credit freeze, and I'll just give you the strategy, and then I'm doing a recap. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.